In this video, we're going to be talking about generating ideas, developing characters, and organize ideas within a realistic fiction piece. And what I want you to do is get out your writing journal and a pencil and turn to page 268 in your practice companion book. So you're going to be reviewing the model once again, A Race to the Finish. And it is important that as you begin looking at this model today that you have a focus and really pay attention to the ways that the writer creates believable characters in the story. And you're going to read this story focusing in on Jared's traits and characteristics, and you should really pay close attention to the words the writer uses to describe Jared and his actions. Okay, so as you're reading this, I want you to answer these two questions. What details do we know about Jared, first of all, and also, do you think Jared is a realistic character? Why or why not? Okay, so you'll answer these questions, and we'll go over these answers in class. So read the writing model on page 268 and answer these questions, and you'll need to pause the video now. Now, the next part of a realistic fiction story that we're going to be looking at is developing characters. Okay, now you want to think about the main character of your story, who that's going to be. And what I want you to do, you're going to be creating a profile that will list basic information about the main character and their realistic story that you're going to be having. Now this excuse me, includes but will not be limited to the appearance, their likes, dislikes, age, siblings, and so on. A lot of different things about your character. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to be focusing on the main character of our class model. Now, the main character, her name is Tina. We'll have her be a softball player for her school. We've already talked about some of these things. She has a chance to go to the Coast Guard Academy. She wants to serve her country and has a brother in the Navy. And I'm going to add some of those details in my web. So you can see, when you're writing a story and thinking about your characters, it's important to not just say, well, it's a boy and they live in Allentown, for example. You need to think about some of these deeper things that your main character may be going through that we may not always think about, because within a realistic fiction story, it's very important that your characters are believable and that people can really relate with them or are engaging to the reader. So before you begin writing, you're going to be doing a web with your character, okay, with your main character. For example, I thought about those things about our main character named Tina. So we have Tina, and we know she plays softball, has a brother in the Navy, wants to serve her country, wants to go to the Coast Guard Academy. Those are all the different things that I'm going to think about and kind of talk about within my realistic fiction story about the main character. It's also important to think about some of the other characters that are going to be in your story, not just the main character. So any supporting characters that have a pretty large role within your piece, you'll want to do a web for them as well. And this is something that will be completed when you come to class today. So another key piece that we've talked about is just organizing your ideas and make sure that they are in sequential order and that they make sense and that they're realistic and that they're also engaging to the reader. Okay, it is important, and we've talked about this, that you begin filling out your story map. You should have it finished already. Now remember that there must be a problem that gets solved by the end of your story. This helps establish the parts of your plot. Now, even though you might have already filled it in, you can always make changes to your story map as you develop the plot and come up with new ideas. So do not think just because your story map is completed that your story is finished, you can't add or take anything away. Oftentimes, writers, when they're writing a story, they have a general idea, but then they think of new ideas and so on. And even oftentimes in television shows, in a series, for example, sometimes the writers do not even know how it's going to end, but they just continue on with the story and so on. Now, we want to be a little bit more organized than that, as they're professionals and they've done that for a very long time and they're very, very good at it. We're still just learning how to write these pieces, but you don't have to just take a look at that story map and think that that is, you cannot go away from that at all. You can add, take away as you see fit, because you're the author and you're the one that's creating the story. So this is what your thinking may sound like. So for example, I want to think about the central problem in the story. So Tina needs to decide between going to college with her friend Faith or going to the Coast Guard Academy. So I want to show the two girls talking about this. They could discuss this during softball practice. So softball practice could be a setting for the story. So this is just how you want to think about and generate your ideas. And remember, it is okay to it's completely okay to come up with new ideas or take away some ideas that you may not like. So as you come to class today, you're going to begin to develop your character profile or profiles using the character web that I showed you. You're also going to be taking a look at your story map and add changes or parts as you come up with new ideas. So this completes the video on writing a realistic fiction story, generating ideas, developing characters, and also organizing ideas as well. If you have any questions about this concept, please come and see me.